Recovery Shared, your online source for all things recovery.
Hi, my name's Justin.
Jessica. Allie.
Michael.
And welcome to Recovery Shared. Today we have a very full couch, which means we have a full amount to give you today. Today we're going to be talking about, and Jessica is our special guest today, this is someone who's not in recovery, but has a unique perspective in recovery. This channel is all about anything recovery or addiction based, so we want to make sure that we touch every topic, and a big one is the loved ones of the people suffering.
Totally.
Jessica's unique
The
perspective.
loved one's the person suffering.
Yeah. So that's this. So we've got a loved one here, and in her unique experience, you've been married to. You were in a marriage with someone who was an active alcoholic and drug addict. Now you're in a relationship with someone in recovery. Mm-hmm. So she's kind of tasted both.
Yes.
I wrote down a couple questions just to kind of ask you that I think that someone out there watching that might be in a similar situation to you might be able to take something from that and apply it in their life. What are some red flags that someone could see if your partner's...
I have a question.
Yeah.
How long were you with your ex?
Great
so
question.
I was in 2 relationships back to back. One on and off for 2 years. We probably broke up around 30 times.
Sounds fun.
My ex-husband, we were together for about 4 years, but I had known him for almost 20 years. So seeing the signs with him was me saying, oh, I'll just ignore this and it'll go away because I know him and I know how he is, and we all made an excuse for his behavior,
which is
for
very
20
common.
plus years. Yes,
it's super common, and it's so hard to get out of. It's like, what are the red flags? It's like, you know them, but you think that they might change.
Exactly, and that's what you're always wishing and wanting is that change. You're hoping the next day is always better than the day before. You know, you're spending your time trying to figure out how to make that person better for you and everybody around them, and it's not. Eventually, what I learned was, it's not up to you. You know, everyone, has to do their own wanting. So to force somebody into that type of, recovery lifestyle, or just having the acknowledgement of being, abusive, whether it's verbally, physically, to others or to themselves, is difficult to see. When I would call him an alcoholic or a drunk, he'd laugh in my face and keep drinking.
Right,
so,
and it kind of becomes like a cycle of abuse maybe can start on their end, but it's like eventually a person can get so fed up where they're saying mean things back, so it's like you don't want to be toxic also, but you're so frustrated. You're like, hello, do you see yourself? And they're like, don't care.
No, with my ex-husband, it was the signs were all there, but we all ignored it for so long because we said, oh, that's just him.
Which is what, drinking every day?
She was drinking every day, then it went into pills, and then coke and things like that, and eventually it turned into, the heroin, the capsules.
When you said drinking every day, give us a quick 1 minute guide through what a day-to-day routine would be in a house with an active alcoholic.
Well, as far as I know, during the daytime, as far as I know, he didn't drink. He was also a chef, and from my experience, what he would do, and it wasn't encouraged, or it wasn't really frowned upon, that he would, people would go out and drink. It's a restaurant business. So what he would do is get the biggest big gulp at 7-Eleven, buy those little bottles at ABC that are, the rum and stuff, or whiskey or whatever, fill it up with Coke, go to work. So that was him drinking during the day. He'd come home. Now this guy's 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds. He drank 5 Old English. You're talking, quart size.
32 ounce, yeah.
A night. It started with 2.
32 ounces a night.
Well, our first part of our relationship, it started with 2, and at the end it finished with 5. And they weren't even done. They'd be knocked over. There would be half-drank ones all over the place, and it was, that was just the drinking.
Right. That doesn't
So
involve
in
all the drug
between,
use.
it was, whatever server friend would give him blues and things like that.
Xanax with?
Oh, yes.
How terrible.
It was,
were those nights?
he could pass out walking. And that's
scary.
how
Somebody
he
for
was.
someone
and he
so
had sleep
big,
apnea.
too. Oh.
So for the first 9 months of our relationship was me...
Hold on one second, I'll be right back with a gift. Keep going.
Okay. the first 9 months of our relationship was me watching him sleep.
Right.
Because I didn't know if he was breathing.
Right, you
So
don't
it was
know if
me
that's like...
pressing on his chest and
Yeah.
listening for him to breathe.
And now you're not sleeping.
Exactly.
And you're not
so,
taking care of yourself
so
because
when
you're so
he-
worried about the
exactly.
person
So
you're
when
with.
he died, the first thing I thought of was, oh, and that was me not paying attention to his real disease, was, oh, it was probably sleep apnea.
He died?
He died of a fentanyl overdose a week before he was supposed to get married.
Wow.
Yeah. So
To you.
no.
Oh,
To
this was already afterward.
Yeah, we got divorced in 2014. So this was to his new fiance. It was a
Crossing.
couple days before he died. He died of a fentanyl overdose.
Here's a little gift.
How many years after you guys broke up was that? And did your
I
breakup
left him.
change him
I
at
left
all?
him. It made him more miserable. It made him more miserable because we've known each other for so long. I knew him when he died. It was 22 years, and we were good friends for a great length of time. Only 4 years of the whole together marriage situation.
I feel like that's something a lot of, especially the woman struggles with, is do I stay?
Well,
Do
that I
leave?
finally.
What's gonna make it worse? What's gonna put him in more danger?
What's gonna happen to the person when I leave them?
Right.
Yeah.
And what's gonna happen to me if I stay?
It was. Yeah, and that was that part of that relationship. The first relationship I was in, the guy would down a 12-pack in a 4-hour period every day because he was on probation. So I dealt with that was my first touch with an alcoholic. He was on probation, so he couldn't
Do drugs.
do anything. So after he would take his piss test, he would smoke for a day, and I said, "Wow, he's so calm. This is fantastic." And then he'd start drinking again, and in the morning, all of my stuff would be in the middle of the road. He'd go into his car, call a girl, talk to a girl, walk in the house, break up with me, throw all my shit on the curb.
Oh my god.
And then when he was done diddling her, he would
They diddled.
whatever he did, he would come at me trying to blackmail me, threaten me to get back with him.
So it was like you were a hostage, like me and Mike
Kind
have
of.
alluded to in other
And
videos.
I worked for his father's company that he also worked in. So it was I had to see his face every day when we would work. He would
That's
whisper to
tough,
me, "I
that's
hope you get in a
tough.
car accident and die." So I had all of that going every day for about a 2-year period. Hi.
Let me ask you this: what would you tell someone who might be starting to see those signs in their partner? Or better yet, what would you say? Like the camera's the old you.
Talk about it. Bring it up, and bring it up to your partner, your loved one, or whoever, saying, "You make me." I mean, this is from what I should have done is telling them because they don't know how you're feeling unless you tell them. So my experience, what I should have said was, "You make me feel like this. You're doing this to me." Not focusing so much on everybody else and themselves. If they see that they're doing this to someone that they supposedly care about, it could possibly, open up, a new part in their brain. Oh, well, maybe what I'm doing isn't very good. But as far as signs go with my ex-husband, like I said, it was difficult to see. Because everyone ignored all the signs. And
Looking
it
back,
was-
what are they?
Looking back, it was getting fired from every job
Because of alcohol.
because of alcohol.
But
Violent.
sometimes when you're in it, even in a relationship, you'll think, well, it wasn't because, they have an
But
excuse every time.
he'd make up all
But
kinds
not
of
being able to hold a
excuses.
job.
Yeah. And he
Relationships.
was great at his job too. It just he could never hold it.
Friendships and relationships ending because he was, and I could say, I mean, he would get very aggressive,
He would, he would get extremely aggressive.
and he was big. So if he
And-
wanted to fight somebody at a
and
bar
when
for no reason,
he-
that guy's looking at me funny. No, he's not. That guy doesn't give a shit about you.
Let's
And now
say,
me and 3 other people are having to try to pull you off this guy who doesn't give a shit about you.
let's say him and Justin were fighting or whatever it was. What he'll do if he wants to reconnect with, that person, he'll take that thing that made him upset, put it inside, be their friend, and when they piss him off, bring it back up.
So resentment, he would hold on to resentment.
I mean, when he died with a lot on him, and he never knew how much resentment and anger and I'm sure regret he had. And you know, you don't want that on you. It's rough. And as far as signs go, like I said, you know, just being fired from every job. You know, your group of friends doesn't want to be around you because of these things that you're doing.
What about
money?
Making up excuses?
Money gone, making up excuses. Oh yeah, I mean, it's BS excuses that don't even make sense.
For the other person.
For the other person. It's, you know, if you're making excuses, and that's what I had to do. Every time we left somewhere where he would get angry at somebody, it was me walking around to apologize to everybody.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's a dick, or whatever. Those were signs that I just lived with. And I was afraid to talk to him because how verbally abusive he was.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when we finally started talking, we got nose to nose. I remember his face was purple. And he was just spitting, salivating. He'd ask me a question, I'd answer, he'd tell me to shut up. And I said calmly, as he was screaming, I said, you know, if you don't stop screaming, I'm walking out that door. Said it 3 times, I walked. And that was it. I couldn't take it anymore.
Now let me ask you this. What was he like when the alcohol wasn't in him?
He was a happy, caring person. Everybody loved being around him.
So a couple adjectives to describe him when he was intoxicated.
Sloppy. Unmanageable.
Maybe 1 or 2 more.
Irrational.
Okay.
Angry.
All right. So now, what's a few objectives or adjectives that you would describe him when he was sober?
Just fun, energetic. He was influential. He was a chef, so he loved cooking. He was very creative. He was always concerned about, as funny as it is, he, cared about his health. He, practiced eating right, juicing, whether it was, diet this or whatever it was. And he did it because not because he needed to go on a diet, just it made him feel better. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot of the other types of, I don't want to say diets, but juicing and eating better all came from this guy.
Yeah.
Who couldn't put these unhealthy things down.
Exactly.
But was an advocate in other areas about health.
When he was sober, it was fantastic.
So it sounds like 2 different people.
Extremely.
Now let me ask you this. You've known me for 20 years. Mm-hmm. You knew me when I was actively drinking. Mm-hmm. What are some adjectives that you would describe me when I was drinking?
Annoying. Sorry, you were.
Don't apologize. I wouldn't want to hang out with me drunk
you
either.
You were funny, but you were like.
What's this?
Give
me an adjective.
You were always
extra. I think that means extra.
Thank you.
Annoying, extra.
So still
were...
the same extra.
Yeah. Sloppy. Everybody's agreeing.
I couldn't trust you.
We didn't know him then, but we can
Untrusted.
There was things that would go missing in my house.
Untrusted. Sloppy too.
You were kind of sloppy. He was a lot sloppier than you.
Was he conniving?
Extremely I can't even talk. Manipulative. That was his favorite thing.
Conniving.
It's the actor.
Conniving. Yeah. So I just said, okay, let me get you what you want. And that was. It was he. He wasn't really angry. He was unmanageable.
Now, how did you? So I guess at some point he was like, "Hey, I want to not be like this anymore, and change." How I feel like for a lot of loved ones, the recovery is confusing.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It is really scary because you're putting all your trust into somebody that's trusting themselves to not mess
Who have
up.
Never been trustworthy before.
Exactly, to not mess up. So it's a completely different lifestyle. Did I have to change anything that I had to do? Did I have to not drink around him? No. I mean, that's his thing he's got to work around because it's not just me. There's billions of people in this world he's going to have to get used to.
Right.
So even if we're not drinking, I'm not drinking or I'm not, at a social environment where people are drinking, he's going to have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Or he never leaves his house, so he's got to pick one or the other. So you have to, I don't want to say be on your guard, but I mean, you have to it's something you have to adjust to. It's definitely different, but it's a support team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lot of people that, you know, I've seen in this, you know, in the sober lifestyle, it is extremely important. I mean, the things I've seen, if there's no support team, they fall.
Yeah.
So you can't do it alone.
It's not smart to, I feel. I mean, I'm sure it's been done, but it was probably a lot more of a struggle. I mean, I don't, like I said, I've never been in recovery. I've never, you know, had that type of relationship with myself or other people to where I've had to do something like that. But in the past 2 years, it's been very heavily influenced in my life.
Yeah, and we're blessed now with online stuff like videos like this, you know, that people can watch.
There's
that are
resources
awesome.
there everywhere.
Facebook groups, all this stuff that's all over the internet. So if you're so terrified to leave, you can kind of really keep that anonymity, or, you know, definitely be supported.
Now
a lot of times I think it's the financial part, why the wife ends up staying. And then when somebody gets sober and they're in recovery, to me the best thing for a wife, since I know this is what mine did, you need to make sure you can support yourself. You need to make sure you learn a skill. You need to make sure you do some kind of business. You need to make sure you have a way to make money, and then you're not sitting there worrying every day if he relapses. Because Debbie will be like, fuck yeah, I have a business. Go fuck, bye.
She's not relying. Then that, you're saying that kills relying on a person. That's not really reliable necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did, okay. So now you've tasted a relationship of someone in recovery versus someone in active addiction. What are the main differences? I mean, what
I can talk to the person.
Right.
It's so much easier, you know, that person actually has, you know, they can talk back, they can respond, you know, they have ambitions, they have goals now. I mean, before they did, but they pushed it so far away.
Next week.
Because
tomorrow,
this was more convenient. Exactly.
Right.
So it's being around such a positive person, somebody who went to 4 meetings a day. You know, it was, I couldn't, I was like, just relax. No, I have to go. So
that's what I needed in the beginning.
It was,
I mean, they say 90 and 90. I did probably 250, 300 my first 90. That was just me, though. I mean, that's what I needed at that point.
I knew everybody at meetings, and it was, you know, it's a different sort of, you know, group of people, but they're positive people. They all want the same thing. So if you surround yourself, you know, with people that all want the same thing, I feel is a lot. It's not a lot. It's much more easier than trying to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Around maybe
or
other toxic
old
people
that are just not there.
So if you're gonna hang around, and you know, my cousin had the same similar issues. She's now sober, you know, thank goodness. But it took a while. It took her 2 or 3 times
Stay tuned in. Excuse me.
2 or 3 times in prison.
Sorry,
her coming back, her ODing while she was in treatment, things like that. And when she came out of prison after 2 years, she wanted to go do things by herself. I said, whoa. I said, get a sponsor, go to a meeting. Like, that's all I'm asking you to do. Well, I don't need that. And I said, oh, it was scary. And, you know, she's actually doing well. And so she took that route. So seeing somebody take that, granted, you know, she did go to outpatient, so she did have that support team. But still, you know, her doing it by herself. I mean, she graduated and she has a job. She wants to move back home, but she did it in Missouri. So, but she's got new friends. You know, she kept making Facebook pages before that all the old friends were coming back, and then things would go missing, and it was.
But she still did it, but it was her own way.
The way she's doing it now, it's her own way. I mean, like I said, she still went to, you know, OP and things like that, and you know.
She received
and then
somebody
took her to a meeting.
Treatment.
Yeah.
She went to a meeting.
Somebody
but
took her to a meeting,
made some
and
friends.
Yeah. So now she's, you know, she'll put on Facebook, oh, I went to a meeting or whatever it is, and I'm just, it's so nice to see that she's just taking those steps, you know, whether it's an everyday, you know, post or anything like that. So it's, you know, it's good.
Yeah.
So you don't have, everybody who gets sober doesn't do it in AA. By being it, like Justin, that happened to be how it worked for. But there's not, I mean, you don't have to 100% go to meetings every day for the rest of your life.
No.
That's just my take on things.
It's just
I suggest it for
Yeah.
sure. But you see people that don't go to meetings anymore too much.
I've seen
After a
people that have
while.
quit dry, cold turkey,
Yeah.
no sponsor, no meetings, did it all their own around active people.
But it's ultimately always up to that person.
And it's
Right.
always up to the, it was just, I mean, granted their only problem was drinking, while everybody else was, you know, doing crack or hair or whatever it was.
Yeah,
So
that's
that wasn't
not too
her
smart of a
lifestyle.
thing.
but that was, you know, her thing. Now with him, with Justin, and I told him this, I said, when you get ambitious about something, he goes full force and he will knock anybody out of the way. He was doing his 4 meetings a day. He was running, that's how he got noticed. He would run the mic every meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say maybe after, you know, his 6 months or whatever, that's when he started speaking. You know, and it just, and after every meeting, he'd have a line of people.
Are you ever nervous that things could go awry in the future? Or?
When we first got into the relationship, I was, because I had known him for so long.
Mm-hmm.
We were the one, his favorite thing to do was drive drunk. Favorite thing to do. So, you know, knowing all of that, you know, it was difficult, and I, you know, kept asking myself, is this something, and I told him flat out, I said, you do anything, I'm gone.
Right.
You need to know that.
Yeah.
Baby or not, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So I don't care, you know, whatever. We could have a nice, great relationship. You do anything, I'm gone. So him agreeing to those terms, that's, I need to keep, and this needs to, you know, if you're serious about this, you need to be stern about it. You can't just say, oh, it was just this one time, you know.
Because once they find out you're not stern about it, it'll continue to happen.
And they'll keep walking all over you until you fall apart. And then you have no support person there for you. So, and you've been that support person for God knows how long. So, you know, you have to be stern, you have to be
Boundaries.
firm. You have to set boundaries. That's another thing
This
too.
is what I expect, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm giving you this love and support,
you know,
in return, I expect love and support. I don't expect you to come home late and drunk
No.
and ruin
Being
our
in a
lives.
relationship with somebody who's in recovery, not knowing how that feels from the outside perspective, you have to set boundaries, or they're going to walk all over you.
Because they don't fully understand
If they
what
get
you
that
go
big.
through as a loved one.
Exactly.
You know, unless they've been sober or, you know, have at some point in their life not been addicted and have dealt with that. But it's really hard for them to understand because they sometimes feel like, well, I'm hurting myself. I'm hurting myself the most. I don't want to hurt you. I love you. I'm not meaning to hurt you. I can't stop or whatever it is. But then they're still hurting you even though that's not what their goal is at the end of the day.
That's why you need to be able to be on your own. If you're in
Have
a
that backup
relationship,
plan.
you need
I've
to have a
always had a
backup
backup
plan.
And I hate saying it, you know, because the other person goes, wait, you've had a backup plan?
You have to.
Yeah, I've always had a
Right.
backup plan.
If you're choosing to be in
Because
this,
you
need to have a backup
I don't want to get
plan.
stuck.
No.
You know, you decide to go use again.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sitting there going, well, we're broken up, but I guess I'll sleep on the couch.
Right, or
house,
maybe you'll come home at
like
3 a.m. or maybe you'll steal my stuff or
Yeah,
you'll have
so
awkward people in the house. I don't
exactly.
know.
So
Because things will start to unravel quickly after a relapse.
yeah, you know, you have to have a backup plan. And like I said, it sucks saying it and it sucks thinking about it. But on my end, because it's happened to me twice, it's smart in
It
my
happens.
situation.
It's part of reality. It just happens.
Yeah.
It does. It just does. That's it. You're changing somebody, changing your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. That's a fantasy, first of all.
Yeah.
To me, until this not particularly if they're sober now either, if they're using, your expecting some kind of change to happen, which is what happens most of the time. You're waiting for they're going to change, They're not.
Yeah.
Until something happens. Until they end up in jail, until you kick them out of the house, until, what's another one? No addict's going to change, no addict's going to stop using for you. I promise you. You're not going to, love for you, forget it. It shit is not going to happen. I've never seen it happen. Something has to happen. A consequence, a serious consequence, like getting kicked out of your house,
You
ending
have to
up
hit
in
that
jail,
bottom.
or hopefully not all the way, but some
No,
kind
yeah.
of bottom,
Yeah.
ending up in jail. Losing your job probably is not enough of a
Yeah.
consequence.
No.
It's really
You
not.
can always go get another.
Yeah, but it's gonna have to be, something has to happen to them. Nobody just up and decide, oh, I'm just gonna quit today. Nothing happened really, but
Yeah, and
I feel
sometimes
like
it's
I
depression.
love her, I love him, I'm gonna quit now. It doesn't happen
Well,
that
and
way.
they say, you know, there's a spectrum of people out there. There's not just there are people that are more addicted than other people. And
That's
it's
true.
not something that there's a ton of information on out there, but just from my life experience, I can tell there's people who like to party really hard, and there's people who are addicted, and there's people who are beyond physically and mentally obsessed and addicted.
Yeah.
And for the lower spectrum of people who just really love to party and are doing it and still experiencing consequences, if they have a kid, they might be able to stop, or if they get married, or if they are in love, they could stop because they're not really addicted. They're just partying hard, you know?
Yeah, that's a difference.
But they can look the same at certain stages.
They can, and
these
that's-
people can look similar.
That's why I was confused
So
with
you
my
don't
ex-husband
know.
for so long.
Right. And then you realize, okay, all these consequences are coming, things are happening, they're still not stopping. It seems out of their control entirely. That's when it's typically an issue, and you're getting to that level of completely obsessed. And
You just have to set boundaries because that's something, especially if you go into a relationship knowing that. I went into my marriage knowing that he's had, I don't want to say substance abuse because at the time I didn't really think about it. I just thought he had partied hard. And it just developed more and more throughout our marriage. But, you have to set boundaries. Even,
It always amazes me that you get married to someone you know is fucking not
You know
right.
what I thought?
You knew, but people still get married, like knowing
It
that
sucks.
this fucking guy is
You know
an
what I
addict,
thought on
or
my
this
wedding
girl's
day?
a drunk,
This is
but I'm
gonna
still
end
getting
divorce.
married.
yeah.
But a lot of people came down here. He's a chef. He cooked all
I
the
hear
food.
that about
I'm gonna
marriages
piss off a
all the
lot of
time.
people.
Yeah, if I
I'll
end
just deal
this
with it
now,
later.
Yeah.
And that is what I did.
Yeah, it happens every day. It happens.
And yeah, I knew. Like I said, the day I was getting married, I was getting divorced. I already knew it.
It happens. It happens probably.
And the only
every
reason I
day.
got married is because he asked me. Because I grew up at at a time where it was, and I mean it doesn't really happen anymore because people are, whatever. But I grew up, you have to get married by a certain age, you have to have kids by a certain age, you have to have a house, white picket fence. That was like a span of,
The
I
American
don't know,
dream.
40 years. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So when he asked me when I was 23, 24, I said, okay, this is, around the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And then have a baby by 28, yeah, okay, then that's, that's how it's supposed to go.
Right.
It never occurred to me that I didn't have to get married.
Right.
That thought never crossed my mind. He asked me, but I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's around that time of age. Yeah, it's okay. Sure.
Right.
And yeah, so
So what's your advice?
my main advice, like I've been saying, is that you have to set boundaries. If you don't set boundaries, you're gonna those gates are gonna fall over. They're gonna, you're gonna get, stomped on. It's.
And for the person who's getting stomped on right now,
Um,
because that's most likely where you're at.
if you don't tell them,
If you have boundaries, you're not looking at this video. Realistically.
I wish I would have told him how he made me feel. Because, I always want to say that he was in the relationship because he loved me, but who knows? I could have, because I had a car, because I had, you know, established all this stuff, credit, whatever it was. I don't know why he was with me, but I like to think in my brain he was with me because he loved me. If he loved me, then he should listen to me. If that person's not willing to listen to you, they're so far gone. Yeah. So far gone. They don't listen to themselves, they're not going to listen to you. And you need to, you know,
talk to somebody.
There's Al-Anon. You can go to Al-Anon. You know,
There's
and you don't have to tell your people that you're going to Al-Anon.
Yeah.
Go to Al-Anon.
There's a lot of different family and loved one support groups that you can definitely join and talk to other people.
Somebody. Yeah. You know, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to tell you the same thing.
We'll help you find somebody to talk to if you comment on the video, for sure.
Yeah, we can definitely help.
So, since Justin seems busy, I'll take over.
Sorry,
guys, subscribe to Recovery Shared. Like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment at the bottom if you can relate or have any tips for someone who might be going through this, or you're going through it yourself.
Or if you have any questions you want to hear
subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you soon at Recovery Shared. Bye.
Signing off.